The Plug-It Products 250 series high flow diverters offer the largest bypass available, reducing one pipe size, and let you work inside of a structure or a manhole in dry conditions and without the fumes and dangerous gases coming back on the worker. In this picture, you'll see two 400 series Plug-It Products flow diverters with a steel tube between them. This rigid bypass allows the bypass tube to be raised up out of the channel, so work can be done in the manhole when the plugs are inflated, and you can also work down in the channel while the flow goes through the tube above. Here's another 250 series built by Plug-It Products. This is for 48-inch pipe, and this one had a 22-degree angle to it. Here's an example of a Plug-It Products 250 series. As you can see, there's a lot of components to this. This unit was developed to fit into 13 different manholes, so the contractor in Santa Barbara could rehab all the manholes and not have to pump around. Pictured here is another example of our high flow diverters. This one was built in sections to fit down through a small opening. It's a solid, rigid bypass. The structure was completely demolished and then a new structure built while this was in place, eliminating all pumping. When the contractor was done, before the manhole was completed, the unit was disassembled and pulled out before the cone was set on top. This is one of our 250 series. It has a flexible elbow. You can see it's cuffed to the ends of the flow diverter. This was made so you could put it in one pipe of the manhole. The other one was flexible. It could be rotated into place and plugged into the downstream side at a 90-degree angle. This is a Plug-It Products high flow diverter. It features hydraulic cylinders inside so that the unit can be compressed, dropped into place, and then pumped out against the flow. Then the bladder's inflated. It also has two 8-inch bypasses at the top to insert pumps into. And here's another one of our 250 series. This is for 48-inch pipe with a 42-inch flexible bypass, picking up an 8-inch drop inlet. In this project, the contractor put this in place in the manhole, brought a new 48-inch line into the manhole while the manhole was dried up with our bypass, re-benched, then rebuilt the manhole, pulled this out, finished the top of the manhole, and never had to pump around or disturb traffic in the street. This was used in downtown Hartford, Connecticut. This is the Plug-It Products 280 series high flow, no flow diverter used in rehabilitation and in camera applications. The outside bladder inflates, diverts the flow through the inside. On the inside there's an interior bladder. Notice the two inflation ports. The interior bladder can be inflated or deflated, so you have full control of the flow by just adding and subtracting air from a hose on top of the manhole surface. Pictured here is a Plug-It Products 300 series disc plug. It's sectioned in one place. However, we can section it several times to get through small openings. And it has bypass ports so you can check and see if there's any water behind the plug before you remove it. Here's an example of two of the Plug-It Products 310 series. These have bladders on three sides, the bottom and the left and right, and they fit into a channel. The contractor put 20 feet of casing between the two openings you see there, rehabilitated the channel in 20-foot sections So this would dry up the section. He would really rehabilitate the channel and then pull it out, move it up another 20 feet, drop it in. The flow would go through the bypass tubes there and dry up that next section of channel. This is an example of a vacuum testing disc made by Plug-It Products. This is used at the bottom of the manhole where the pipe intersects the manhole at a 90-degree angle. So it blocks off the bottom, then we block off the top and perform the vacuum test. And this is an example of a 30-inch high-pressure mechanical plug that had to fit through a 24-inch opening. So the entire thing was disassembled, reassembled in place inside the manhole, tightened down, and left in place for about a year against about 40 psi. This is the Plug-It Products 12-inch mechanical plug. Features a long T-handle so you can get the plug up inside the pipe and still tighten it down. It features two flow-throughs, one to put air into the space and one to have a separate readback on the space to perform your test. The plug is made of natural rubber and aluminum. Pictured here is a Plug-It Products 300 series disc plug. You can see the three vertical steel beams that will be bracing this disc plug into place when the structure is full of water. In this picture you'll see the Plug-It Products 400 series diverters. These flow diverters, 1824 and larger, have removable plates on a flanged end. This allows the owner of the flow diverter to change the ends easily without having to buy a new plug. Let's say he has a 4-inch bypass and needs a 6-inch. All you need is a different plate. Also, we can construct 90s and other things that can bolt onto it for different applications without having to buy or rent a whole new plug. Here's a Plug-It Products 400 series flow diverter, and on the front we've bolted a plate to receive three 10-inch pumps. This is a Plug-It Products 700 series wash ball. These are used to clean the lines prior to running a deflection gauge or mandrel through the line, and to leave the line clean for the administrative authority after it's all been installed. The Plug-It Products high pressure plugs can test up to 150 psi, 200 psi, or 250 psi. They come with a bypass and with a readback port so you can check the pressure while you're testing. Here's the Plug-It Products collapsible joint tester grout packer. This particular unit goes from 54 to 60-inch pipe, and when collapsed without the wheels on it will fit through a 24-inch manhole opening. It's simply pushed back into shape inside the manhole, two pins put in the holes, the wheels reattached, and you can begin joint testing or grout packing your pipe. Pictured here is the Plug-It Products aluminum low pressure joint tester. This comes with the panel for air or water test and the wheels. It's complete, and it's aluminum, so it's easy to clean up and lightweight to ship about the country. This makes a great rental unit. This is an example of our steel high pressure joint tester grout packer. It comes again with the test panel for an air or water test and the wheels. Here's an example of a joint tester for oval pipe. The contractor sent us cardboard cutouts of the pipe so we could duplicate the shape of the 66-inch pipe, built into the joint tester so you could test each individual joint quickly without having to fill the pipe full of water and do an end-to-end test. This is one of the Plug-It Products joint testers for testing welded steel pipe, cement coated, mortar lined steel pipe. We're able to pull a vacuum test and check each individual welded joint with the mortar in the pipe before the gap is grouted. Here's an example of an external joint tester we built for Hobos Pipe to test their pipe above ground for their engineers to prove that the gasket and the joint can hold pressure. This slipped over the pipe at the Hobos yard, where we applied pressure to the joint from the outside to prove it would not leak. This is an example of our joint tester inside a Hobos pipe. On the front of the joint tester is a Hobos deflection ring. While we are testing the individual joints, we are also doing the deflection test. It's all done at once with the inspector in the pipe. Each joint takes a few seconds to test, and we prove the deflection as we move through. This is an example of a Plug-It Products deflection gauge, also called a mandrel. This was for 48-inch pipe, and when disassembled, it fits through a 24-inch manhole opening. The fins just snap onto the wheels, making assembly and disassembly very simple. So you get it in the manhole, do your testing, and pull it out the next one. This is a joint tester for double gasketed RCP pipe, or the pipe that uses a double gasket. There's a fitting inside the pipe. We can roll this tester up and test each individual joint quickly. As you can see, it just rolls through the pipe with the operator. Here's an example of the Plug-It Products 1100 series air test panel. It's a fully regulated air supply, and it has separate fittings on each hose so that you cannot mix up the hoses and attach them to the wrong port of the plug. Here's the Plug-It Products vacuum test plug. This is typically used in existing manholes in the street or where there's grade. This is a multi-size unit from 30 to 36. It fits into the manhole, and the bladder rolls up from the bottom into the cone, so you don't blow the bladder as easily. It provides a great seal, and the crossbar on top keeps it from being sucked down into the manhole during the vacuum test. In this picture is the Plug-It Products 38-inch vacuum test plate. It's made of T6061 aluminum. It's not cast. It features an 1.5 inch opening to get the vacuum in and out quickly. It has a 1-inch thick foam base that's repairable compared to others who offer 3/4 of an inch. And it comes with a 0 to 30 inch vacuum gauge. Pictured here is the Plug-It Products motorized mechanical vacuum pump. This particular pump delivers 50 CFM. It's one of the highest of the mechanical pumps in the industry, and is driven by a reliable Honda motor. Pictured here is the Jepco septic tank vacuum testing unit, where we can put a vacuum on a septic tank, get engineering approval for soil loads, prove it's airtight. We can load the tank for destruction, or show that it can handle a certain soil load, or vacuum test the tank off the air brake system on your truck when you drop it in on site, so that you can show the tank is tight before you leave. And this is the 1100-300 series. It's a single hose leak location reel Most of you probably know this as a triple hose. We use one hose. We run all the air down to the plugs, inflate the plugs automatically, and then automatically inflate the space, and then we deflate the plugs in the pipe. And once the plugs deflate, there is no more space pressure, so you can move on to your next section very quickly. Typically it just takes a few seconds per section to test. This is an example of one of the well test packers built by Plug It Products. It's built on a 10-inch column pipe supplied by the well drilling company, and it fits in 22-inch casing. In this case, we were isolating an area between the two bladders to conduct a test of water quality. And here's another example of a well test packer built by Plug It Products. Again, the column pipe was sent to us by the driller. We built the bladder, the gussets, and the end plates onto the column pipe and sent it back to the driller.